Good day. My name is Ashok Daftari. I'm a geriatric physician, and this is my video blog. I call it Second Opinion. Second Opinion will attempt to make several controversial and other healthcare issues more understandable to both my fellow peer physicians and also to all my viewing patients. As an introduction to this blog, I would first like you to watch a video.
Well, sometimes it's tough to figure out whether a post on social media is true. One that was shared millions of times claims a young man died because he couldn't afford insulin. Dwayne Pullman.
So this week, I'll ask the question, is that right? Tragically, that young man did die after rationing his expensive insulin. I know because I tracked down his mom.
What killed your son?
Official cause of death was diabetic ketoacidosis.
Still, there were some problems with that meme. The most significant, his name was not Alex. It was Alec with a C.
They didn't even spell his name right.
And he didn't die this year. Alec died in 2017.
I wish that they would have reached out for the facts.
But the claim itself that Alec was kicked off his mom's insurance when he turned 26 and couldn't afford $1,300 a month for insulin and was rationing it are all sadly true.
He was found dead 3 days before his payday.
So while that meme got some important details wrong, the overall claim that the rising cost of insulin killed Alec is tragically right. I'm Dwayne Pullman.
And if something does...
Almost 100 years ago, type 1 diabetes was an incurable disease. It was only in January of 1922, a 14-year-old in Toronto, Canada, was injected with insulin. This injection ushered in a new era of medical therapeutics for a once incurable disease. The following year, the Nobel Prize was given to 3 Canadian scientists who had synthesized and isolated insulin. They were practical men. They realized that they could not market their discovery, and they sold their patent to Eli Lilly, the pharmaceutical company, for a price of only $1. These 3 scientists, the winners of the Nobel Prize, wanted their discovery to be available to all, to any who could benefit from it. More recently, the New England Journal of Medicine, in an opinion piece, described the insulin crisis, which has led to much pain, suffering, and death in the United States. It is the basis of this video blog. It's not really a scientific crisis. It's a financial crisis. Drug price increases have made prescriptions nearly unaffordable to the average income American consumer. The reason it's only in America that pharmaceutical manufacturers can charge any price they believe the market will bear. Only in America is there no competition in the insulin market. The consumer is being held a financial captive by 4 pharmaceutical companies. The price in 1923 for 100 units of short-acting insulin was about $1, equivalent to $15 in today's currency. Insulin then was also rationed. It was rationed then because lack of availability, not lack of pennies. Recent price increases have been much more dramatic recently and are further illustrated in the following section. These price increases have been meteoric in the recent past and have risen several hundredfold in the last 2 decades. This year, absent insurance, the consumer, to purchase 100 units of regular insulin, will have to pay $18. Assuming a type 1 diabetic uses a unit per kilogram of insulin a day, 100 units are only enough for 2 days. Most diabetics require intermediate and long-acting insulins that are considerably more expensive. The slide portrayed is one from a New England Journal of Medicine article alluded to earlier. It gives the monthly cost and the cost per unit of the various newer insulins. They vary considerably, but are all extremely expensive. Their costs are frequently far beyond what patients in need can afford. For a moment, let us look at international costs. This graph shows that a comparison of insulin in the United States with its costs in India, the United Kingdom, Spain, and Hungary are considerably different. The costs in the United States several hundredfold greater. The question: will we be able to afford care of diabetes in the future if these costs continue? The costs associated with diabetic care in this representation show that not only have the cost of insulin increased dramatically, but also the newer oral anti-diabetic agents and insulin supplies are not far behind. The cost of insulin for a Part D Medicare enrollee has increased 81% from 2007 to 2016. What once cost $324 now costs $588. How can this happen? How did it happen? Insulin accounted for a large percentage of the profits of the 3 giant pharmaceutical manufacturers in the United States: Sanofi, Novo Nordisk, and Eli Lilly. Put together, they made in excess of $12 billion with insulin accounting for a large portion of their profits. They did this by holding all the patents. Between 2010 and 2015, the price of Lantus insulin made by Sanofi rose 168%. Levemir, made by Novo Nordisk, rose 169%. And the cost of Humulin R U500, made by Eli, soared 325%. No generic insulins are available in the United States. To make insulin affordable, we would need competition in the form of generic drugs. However, technically, insulin is made using a bacteria and is referred to as a biosimilar instead of a generic, and these require further testing There are no generic insulins, and 90% of privately insured patients with type 2 diabetes who receive insulin get the newer and much more expensive products. As stated earlier, insulin is a biologic product, and any new generic created will need additional clinical testing, and this will delay time to market and considerably increase costs. It is thus imperative that regulatory obstacles be legally abolished. Unfortunately, the United States Congress, with its partisan politics, seems unwilling or unable to achieve this. It is not only incompetent lawmakers who increase the cost of insulin. The manufacturing and sales chain from manufacturer to patient is complex, and there are many sticky fingers in between. This visual details the insulin supply chain, which is long, complex, complicated, and expensive. The idea has been broached that pharmaceutical companies abroad produce insulin. However, there are multiple problems associated with this approach. Attempts to import it from Canada are impractical, as Canada will not supply enough insulin for American needs. Importation of these drugs from China and India will also be legally opposed with just reason. The book Bottle of Lies by Catherine Eatman details the corruption in the manufacture of pharmaceuticals in these two countries. The future is bleak. In 2020, if Donald Trump is re-elected, it'll be more of the same. The Democrats' policies regarding healthcare are almost as confused as they are.
Soupy.
Thank you for watching this weblog.
Yeah.
And please share your opinions with me. Goodbye till the next blog.